majority of indigenous people today are living in some of the most biodiverse and fragile ecosystems on the planet. The natural environment is hugely important for their survival and livelihood, now and for future generations. Indigenous people have traditions of great respect for their surrounding natural resources. They've developed many sustainable methods of interaction with their environment to ensure that their future communities can survive. These practices have developed from inherited knowledge and have become a code of conduct that is passed down by each generation. These sustainable practices have had to gradually adapt to climate change. Climate change, which is a result of mainly human activities, such as over-extraction of natural resources. Fossil fuels such as oil, coals and natural gas have been exploited from under the ground, whilst overground deforestation has taken place on a huge scale across the planet. Changes in the climate, such as drought, high temperatures, unseasonal rains and high precipitation, all have an impact on plant and wildlife species and the delicate ecosystem upon which communities are depending. Indigenous people hold knowledge and cultural practices that could potentially be utilised to develop strategies to confront and adapt to climate change. These understandings, for example, selection of plants and seeds that are able to withstand drought, these community-based adaptations and knowledge have not yet been adequately recognised or promoted by organisations dealing with climate change at national or international levels. The Indigenous Peoples Biocultural Climate Change Assessment Initiative, IPCCA for short, has been gathering information from several Indigenous groups around the world. The aim of the project is to use the results to develop appropriate adaptation plans for respective communities to cope with the changes. The Indigenous groups participating in the project are based in Peru, Panama, the United States, Canada, Mexico, Ecuador, Finland, the Philippines, Kenya and Thailand. These groups and other supporting academics and organisations have been conducting assessments of the impacts of climate change to the communities using both Indigenous and scientific knowledge. As part of this project, the Indigenous Peoples Foundation for Education and Environment and the residents of Hin Lek Vai, a satellite village of Khoi Manau, Chiang Mai Province, Thailand, jointly conducted an assessment of climate change impacts that the community has been facing. The assessment process took a period of 1 year and covered the following 9 stages. 1. Building an understanding about the concept of the IPCCA project with the community through community meetings. 2. Establishing a village committee and community assessment team comprising of 6 members. 3. Adaptation of the IPCCA project concept framework, using a previous example from the project in Peru, looking at the relation between climate change and its impacts on community. The key issues that the residents of Hin Lek Vai wanted to focus on in this assessment were effects on traditional livelihoods, such as farming and forest gathering. 4. Designing the structure of the local assessment plan according to the adjusted conceptual framework and incorporating various different tools and methodologies. 5. Testing of tools which included methods such as questionnaires, in-depth interviews with village representatives, focus groups in the village, ground surveys and direct observations.
หลังจากนั้นเราก็มาวางแผนกันว่ากรอบของการทำงานเนี่ยจะอยู่ในกรอบไหนคนไหนจะรับผิดชอบด้านใดแบบบทบาทหน้าที่ทีนี้แต่ละช่วงเนี่ยเราก็ทำข้อมูลตั้งแต่ง่ายๆไปหาจุดที่ยากเนาะครับอย่างเช่นเบื้องต้นเนี่ยเราเอาข้อมูลพื้นฐานของหมู่บ้านเนี่ยหมู่บ้านที่ใต้เนี่ยที่เหนือติด้านใดที่เหนือที่ใต้เราก็หาข้อมูลพื้นฐานก่อน
6. Collection and analysis of information. After testing the tools, the assessment team divided the tasks among themselves to collect information assigned to each person. The information gathered was then shared and discussed among the team for preliminary analysis. This was then followed by a focus group, which composed of experienced village elders, chiefs from other local villages, and local administrative organisations to verify the information and give feedback.
การผลผลิตทางการเกษตรนี้ที่นี่ถือว่าเป็นเรื่องสำคัญนะครับถ้ามีข้าวเราก็อยู่ได้นะครับฮิลเลตไฟเนี่ยพื้นที่นาเนี่ยก็มี2แบบนะครับแบบที่1คือเกี่ยวกับน้ำลมก็คือพื้นที่น้ำลมเนี่ยก็จะมีน้ำขังอยู่ตลอดเวลาเกี่ยวกับนาดอยอีกก็คือนาดอยก็คือนาทั่วไปแหละแต่ว่าปีไหนน้ำมันน้อยหรือปริมาณน้ำฝนน้อยเนี่ยก็น่าเป็นห่วงเหมือนกัน
ปี53เนาะที่ผ่านมาเนาะที่เราสังเกตได้เห็นชาวบ้านเช่นอะไรนะนกเนาะนกกระจอกเช่นงูเนาะงูก็เยอะขึ้นแล้วก็โรคภัยไข้เจ็บก็เยอะขึ้นเหมือนกันเนาะบรรยากาศก็เปลี่ยนเช่นหนาวก็หนาวเกินเนาะถ้าร้อนก็ร้อนเกินเนี่ยครับ
ภูมิอากาศเปลี่ยนแปลงสภาพอากาศเปลี่ยนแปลงก็เห็นพฤติการสัตว์และก็พืชเปลี่ยนแปลงมากเช่นยูเนาะที่มากขึ้นเนาะแล้วก็พืชที่เป็นผลไม้อะไม่ออกตามฤดูกาลก็เห็นได้ชัด
7. Development of a work plan. The information received from the assessment was used to develop a strategic adaptation work plan for responding to climate change in the community. This work plan was shared with relevant local agencies to ensure understanding and future support, such as the Royal Project, the local school, the Demonstration Farm Project, Obluang National Park, and local municipal authorities.
ผมก็อยากจะฝากทางหน่วยงานที่รับผิดชอบที่หน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องนะครับก็อยากจะให้มีการปฏิบัติกันจริงๆจัง
ถ้ามีโอกาสเนี่ยเนาะของานชิ้นเนี่ยที่มีแผนทั้งหมดข้อนี้ขอทำเป็นหลักเลยผม
ที่จริงแล้วผมว่าตรงนี้ทุกคนนะครับก็มีส่วนร่วมนะครับเนาะแล้วเราต้องใช้เวลาและโอกาสให้ความรบกวนนะครับ
8. Implementation of the Community Adaptation Plan. Some aspects of the plan were able to be embraced straight away by the villagers, whilst other aspects required support from outside agencies. 9. Drawing lessons and replicating experiences gained from the assessment for other interested communities so that they can learn to cope with the impacts of climate change themselves. 10. The information gained by the climate change impact assessment is hugely valuable, as it's been drawn from the knowledge and experience of indigenous people in countries throughout the world. It therefore could have great benefit to other indigenous groups attempting to adapt to climate change. The impacts of climate change are already happening. If we don't stand up and help ourselves, who will? Together we can make positive changes to ensure that the planet is a good place to live for our future generations. Right now is a crucial time to come together and make a difference.